Time for our regular weekly look back at the material from the week before and where we are going this week. So, without further ado, let me look back first. And last week we went through, in particular, two major concepts. One, the Baldrige principles themselves. What are they? How are they worded? Are you getting a sense of how they were put together and where they came from? And then, and this was a major part of your written assignment, there was also a look at a very similar, but not quite the same thing, in the kind of precursor work from W. Edwards Deming and his 14 points about quality. And we looked very, very hard at how do those two match up? Where do they disagree? Do they disagree in reality? Is it just a matter of style and form? What's it all about? What are we doing here with the two of them? And I feel safe in saying this now because just about all of you have gotten all the work in. I think it was Steve DeZino in the discussion board very correctly identified. Deming is more of an operational document, a set of procedures for doing things. It's operational, yes. Baldrige is more strategic. Baldrige takes on a kind of a higher level, an upper tier look. The catchphrase, the cliche, the buzzword is the Baldrige is the 30,000-foot view. And in some cases, Baldrige may take an even higher view than that. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to that exact portion of what Baldrige is all about and the quality systems. And we're going to be looking at two important points: leadership and strategy. Okay, and what do you see with these two? These are indeed big picture items. And I think we can all agree, just almost by definition, that strategy has a lot to do with how an organization or an individual will pursue the concept of quality. And leadership, whether it be organizational leadership or self-leadership, have an awful lot to do with how will you get there? Why will you get there? Why do you need to get there? And just continue that whole philosophy of what it's all about. So this week we're going to be looking at those two concepts, strategy and leadership. And you'll notice that in Baldrige those words are used. Visionary leadership, strategic perspective. Those are important things. Those are where we need to go. Big picture items. And I think what you're going to see is we've heard a lot about those words over the past, I don't know how many years. In fact, some of my thinking says that those words have become almost overused. We talk about leadership so much. Again, go down to your local bookstore, go to the management section, and look and look and look at all the books on leadership, right? And you've got books on historical figures on leadership, 10 principles of leadership, 15 leadership lessons of Alexander the Great. That's not actually so far-fetched, because one of the principles I always talk about is, why do we keep reinventing these principles? I think a lot of them were not invented. They evolved over the course of history thousands and thousands of years ago. So what makes it such that we are still publishing and writing and studying and working with them? Well, we're going to come to an idea where I once had a consulting client of mine say he was gonna smack me if I said it to him one more time, but unfortunately he's long gone, and as much as I respect the gentleman, and so I'm going to say it to you guys. You know what? I think you're going to find that all of what we talk about is really, in truth, very simple. It's just not easy. If it was easy, we'd do it already. So that's what we're going to start getting into. Strategy and leadership, two terms that have actually been beaten up and studied to death and presented from just about every possible angle. And here we go, we're going to start looking at them from our angle and how they fit into the Baldrige principles and what they mean to your organization. But as you go through this, I want you to be very cognizant that these are also things that can apply to you individually. keep remembering that Baldrige really is all about self-assessment and how you look at things, how we look at ourselves, how we look at our own organizations. How do we understand what it is that we do? And the whole idea of strategy here is not only are we just doing what we must do, but are we doing what we must do to accomplish what it is we set out to accomplish? Do we have that visionary leadership that lets us know where we want to go and that keeps our organization on track? So that's the important part. A lot of these things that I've just talked about, I talked about in an earlier video, prepared for the last running of the course. And I'm going to leave that up there so you can take a look at that at your leisure, because it'll probably reinforce some of the things I was just talking about now, and it may hit a few things that maybe I forgot to mention this evening. So that's pretty much the summary of the work. For the operational look at things, you guys do such a great job with discussion board. The only complaint I have is that it takes me forever to grade it because there's so many entries and so many good entries and so many ideas that I've got to cover and read and comment on. That's not really a complaint. That's something I'm very, very pleased to see, and I'm very pleased with the result. Please keep it up. And the one thing I'm very gratified about this week is I did make a lot of suggestions to people in my comments of the last week, and to many of those, you took those suggestions and ran with them. And nothing more pleasing, I guess, to a teacher's heart than to have a student pick up on something you said and run with it. It's great stuff. And the discussion seems to be running itself. It seems to be doing the job I intended it to do. Remember that so much of the learning in this class comes from the discussion board. Just please stay up with it and make sure you're getting things done. The one admonition I've had to make maybe a little bit too many times was don't wait until the end of the week. If you try to jam everything in on Sunday, you've probably lost half the attention you would have gotten, because the other half of the class has been done well before then, and they're not going back in at 11 o'clock on Sunday night to read the discussion board. So that's just a little practical consideration. For your essays, I will read them. I have not started reading them, although most of you have submitted them already. My target date for getting that grade back to you is Wednesday. And again, I will treat that just like a discussion board. I'm not just going to assign a numerical grade. I will try to provide some commentary with each grade that you get. So make sure that when you do see your grade, you're checking in the grade book to see the commentary that I've provided. I did field several questions in the Ask the Professor section of the discussion board. Please remember, going forward, that is the place to ask your questions. I think I got back to everybody in time to be helpful with completing your assignments and your discussions. So remember to use that. It's a great tool. Remember that it's not just I want to hear myself talk and have you guys run up all my hits on YouTube, but these videos are where we will provide a lot of valuable information, and it's important that you watch them. Okay, so as boring as I may be, please stay tuned, because that's where things are going to come. Again, thank you for all the great work these first 2 weeks. I think this week is going to get even a little bit more interesting, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the course with you. Thank you again.